You're listening to SM Media, the number one place for exclusive Scottish football content. Hi folks, and welcome to the latest episode of the Scottish Football Show right here on SM Media. I'm Scott McPike. It's an absolute pleasure to be your host as always. Delighted to be joined this week with two very special guests. Delighted to welcome back Ryan McStay. Ryan, it's a pleasure to welcome you back on the show. Thanks for coming on.
Good to be here, Scott. Cheers.
Absolute pleasure. And we're also delighted to be joined by Stevie Murray. Stevie, welcome back to the show. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thanks, Scott. Cheers.
Absolute pleasure. Ryan, before we get into talking about the games, how good is it to have the football back after a long winter break?
It's brilliant, mate. Obviously, I think it was the right decision in the end up just to maybe take the break a week earlier, but obviously delighted to get the games back Monday there. Celtic playing Hibs and then obviously the rest of them on Tuesday, so hopefully we get a good wee talk about them. But obviously, what's happened the last 2 years, it's always good to get the football back, aye?
Yeah, definitely. Steve, would you go along with that? Good to get the football back after a quiet winter?
Aye. It's not been the same without the football. I know obviously we've been watching games down south and stuff like that, but you can't beat Livingston v Dundee on the AstroTurf on a Tuesday night, I don't think.
No, you absolutely cannot. Obviously, there's a full selection of games over the midweek. We started Monday night. Celtic took on Hibs, a 2-0 victory for Celtic. Daizen Maeda, his first goal after only 5 minutes. Very, very impressive debut from the new Japanese signing. And Josip Juranovic got a penalty in the first half as well to make it 2-0. Ryan, I'll start with you. Celtic, I thought they were very, very impressive first half. Really, really quick on the ball. Obviously, we know the system Ange wants to implement. I thought it was brilliant from Celtic early on. Hibs, I think, they were set up all wrong. We'll talk about that maybe in a few minutes, but you couldn't help but impressed with the way Celtic set up, and particularly Maeda getting his first goal, and we'll touch on the other Japanese signing who I thought was terrific, Rio Atati.
Aye, definitely. Apart from maybe the first, if the boy Nisbet takes a chance he was left fit, it's a different game. Celtic got the part and score, so I think from then on Celtic bossed the game, and speaking to the other Japanese boy Hatati, I thought he was absolutely unbelievable. I think he dictated the game all over the park. He was everywhere, and just the way he was passing, he wasn't passing side to side, he was going through the lines, starting attacks, and Roger was picking up spaces in behind Hibs' midfield. But I agree with you, the way we play, Celtic, I say we, the way Celtic play, it's high intensity. That's what Ange wants to do. So I think for the first 45 minutes, that's what Celtic done, and Hibs couldn't handle them. It probably could have been more, but the second half kind of just fizzled out a wee bit. And as you say, Hibs went up too much. I don't know if Maloney got his tactics wrong or whatever, but just the way Celtic kind of done a job in the first half, and the second half I was kind of a wee bit bored because there was nothing really happening. But it's the first game back after a 3-week break, so good to get the 2 points and put a wee bit of pressure on Rangers the next night.
Stevie, obviously with Celtic, it's a big win. Obviously, the results went their way, and it's now 4 points instead of 6. Who kind of stood out for you from a Celtic perspective, and were you impressed with the way they went out?
Aye, same as Ryan. They started the game very well, but I can't believe Nisbet's missed that chance. You just put your mortgage on him scoring there, especially being 3 yards out. But I think Celtic they put up the bum that they needed, and they've went up the park and scored. But the two Japanese boys were very good, especially Hitati, as Ryan says. He's the way he gets about the pitch. You can see why Ange signed him. He's very aggressive in the press, the way he presses people and stuff. That's exactly what he's after. And I think if he continues in that vein of form, then they've sort of got a real player on their hands.
Nah, I would agree with you in that. I thought he had a really impressive debut. I think one thing about Celtic so far this season, I think they've been lacking is that kind of holding midfield player who can kind of dictate the game. I think McGregor's more of a forward player. I think if he keeps that up, he could be that missing link. I was very impressed. I thought Maeda as well. I think maybe a wee bit raw to start with, but his pace, you saw the way he was breaking things down and things like that. He was dictating a lot of play. Ryan, Hibs as well. Do you think Sean Maloney, if he got his chance again, he would look back and maybe sit in a wee bit and not be as exposed at the back?
I'm not sure. I don't know what obviously his philosophy in the game is. Maybe he's going to just go and take the game to teams no matter where he goes, if it's Ibrox or Parkhead, and fair play to him. But I think when this got up top and then Boyle came off the wings, it was kind of, sometimes they broke us in the first half, but I thought Big Starfelt and Cameron Vickers were tremendous at the back again. Big Vickers is my player of the year so far. He's been tremendous signing, especially getting a good bit of business the last day of the window. But I think going back to it, maybe a sharp shot for maybe the first 20 minutes and then see how the game pans out. But after the Celtic scored, I think maybe they need to come out more and try and get back in the game. Celtic will just pick them off. Rogic, again, he's been tremendous all season. He's on the half turn, nobody can get near him on the swivel. And then Juranovic up and down the wing and all. And I thought Taylor done on it as well. He's no my kind of cup of tea, but I thought he done okay. I thought McGregor had maybe an off game. He kept getting the ball away, which is not to high standards. But I do agree with what you say. I prefer him higher up the park, trying to make things happen. If you the boy Hatate, who again is a snip at 1.4. I know it's easy to say he looks a player in one game, but from my point of view, centre mid, I always look at the centre mid and what he does, and if he goes side to side, it makes easy pass. But he was trying to break the lines all the time. His passing was crisp. He was firing it in, and obviously he's fat enough to get about it. He blew out a steam maybe 5 minutes before he came off. But he came for another country. You know what I mean? He's just in a week. So I think when he gets a couple of more games on his belt, we'll see a lot more of him. But I think Andrew's doing the right way, because last season was a shambles. I can remember speaking to the last time about it. Celtic were an absolute disgrace, and obviously it was a major rebuild, and he's done that. Look at the 5 players that Celtic have got up with the boy for MK Dons. It's 5 players for under 5 million. You look at last year and the year before, you're signing Ajeti for 5 million, Barkas for 5 million, you know what I mean? So I think he's getting a good model there for Celtic. Going back to years ago where you were bringing through like unknowns like Van Dijk, Wanyama, nobody knew, like for peanuts, and then selling them for high money. That's what Celtic's all about. Celtic fans won't like me saying that, but that's the reality. Obviously, players want to come and do well and get down the Premiership. And if they're doing well, that means Celtic are winning leagues and cups, so it can only be good for Celtic.
Yeah, as you say, like Hatate as well. You want, with a new signing, particularly a signing you're not familiar with, you want to see what they're like first, your first impression. If they show you something straight away, you're impressed, and that kind of sets a good tone. I think Hatate, it'll be a run of games before you see how good he is, but when it comes to first impression, I think it's very, very difficult to say that he wasn't impressive. Stevie, Hibs, before we touch on the other games, Hibs, there are new signings to come in, like Harry Clark for Ross County, the striker for the sign from Bodo Glimt, who's meant to be really, really impressive. Outgoings, there is talk tonight that Martin Boyle could be leaving for Saudi Arabia as a third bid come in, and it looks as if he's going to be accepted. He's not in the squad for the Cove game, which we're recording during. Boyle could be a massive miss. You saw really early on, he was really direct. How big a miss will he be if he does go, and what do you think the new signings could bring?
I think it'll be massive for Hibs. Such a loss for them, because the majority of their attacks go through Boyle, and the way they've played, he gets them up the pitch so quickly, even from a defensive perspective. If they're under pressure, they get the ball to Boyle and he can just take it on 40, 50, 60 yard runs and get them out of danger. But from an attacking sense, like 90% of their play goes through Boyle, and that raw pace, as I say, just it opens things up for you. It's amazing. Like Ryan will tell you, the amount of players we've played with who might not be the greatest technically, but if they've got raw pace, they always seem to make it to such a high level, because that raw pace can get you out of, if you're a defender, it can get you out of trouble. If you're an attacker, it can open things up for you and create things. So I think it'll be massive for Hibs to lose him. Don't get me wrong, like he's probably going to Saudi Arabia and he's going to be on about 40 grand a week tax free. So I'd be doing a Peter Rodham wingy and I'd be sitting at the airport, you know what I mean, waiting for somebody to check me in. But it's a huge move for the boy, but it's a massive loss for Hibs. I don't know, it'll put a lot more pressure on the signings coming in anyway, put it that way.
Ryan, would you go along with that? How big a miss will Boyle be if he does go?
It'll be massive. I don't know what the fee is involved, but I don't think, if you're maybe talking 2.5 million, you're not going to really replace the quality in this short space of time with him, what he's done for Hibs over the last couple of years. As I spoke to you earlier, I played against him years and years ago when he was at Montrose, and it's unbelievable what he's done in his career, but it's through hard work and determination, and obviously he's got right good ability as well. But as Ruby said, it comes down to pace. See, if you get pace, it can get your moves, and that's what he's done. He's going to maybe go over there and he's got his life-changing money. So I fair play to the boy, but I'm sure with Maloney's contacts, he'll have somebody lined up. I've seen a few videos of the boy they've signed for that Bordeaux team. He looks a player, to be fair. He looks young, so they'll be hoping he comes in and hits the ground running and can start scoring goals for them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll move into the game at Pittodrie. Aberdeen 1, Rangers 1. Rangers took the lead through Yanis Hadji and Lewis Ferguson equalised by a second half penalty. Stevie, I'll come to you for the first one. What was your overall thoughts in the game? And my opinion would be, I think Aberdeen were quite unlucky not to take 3 points, and I thought Rangers were quite flat as a whole.
I agree with you. I mean, I think Rangers, Aribo was a massive miss for Rangers. And I don't, you're right, they did seem very flat. They were sitting off Aberdeen for some reason. They were just letting them play. Usually Rangers are quite good at pressing, but they were doing the opposite against Aberdeen, and Aberdeen just grew further and further into the game, and they had a few chances, and the Rangers goal came from the one where the boy Hedges went through, and McGregor kind of touched him to bring him down, so it was a debatable whether it's
on that in a
minute. But I thought, Aberdeen 100% deserved a point, if not 3. They played really, really well. I was impressed with them.
Ryan, that's Rangers' first points dropped in the league under Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. Were you surprised at how kind of flat Rangers were? I just thought there was, you could notice the miss of Aribo. I think that's a big thing. I'll be surprised if Rangers don't change something in the transfer market in this month, because I think they are. If Aribo's out the team, I don't think there's a lot of creative threats. Aberdeen were impressive though. I mean, they came out, they got it to Rangers as well. They made it difficult for Rangers to get anything going. I think the tempo of the game was hard with both teams, with the amount of stoppages there, which we'll touch on in a minute. But overall thoughts of the game, what did you think?
Just as you two said, I thought Aberdeen were unlucky not to get the win. I think conditions played a part in all. It was very windy, so Rangers couldn't get the ball down and playing, so it was a lot of back to front and playing off scraps. But Aberdeen, they've got a few good players. The boy Jenks on loan for Brighton.
Yeah, they've got a good chance.
He looked decent. He's bringing it to the box. I think that's what Rangers missed. You've got the threat of Aribo getting on the ball, and then I've always said, because I played with the boy, Arfield, I think when he doesn't play, Rangers miss that third man running at the box, because other players don't do it. You know what I mean? The boy, the American boy, he looked tidy on the ball, but I don't think that's his game. Kilmarnock's not his game. So again, when Rangers are on the ball and they've maybe get Kent out wide, it's only Morelos that's in the box. So they've not got that third man running. But I agree what you said. Aberdeen were good. You know what I mean? The boy Ferguson will probably get a move as well. But Rangers were flat. But I think they'll be happy with taking the point. And I think that's a first draw in 9 games, so they can't be too unhappy with the run they're on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but I'll touch about in Lewis Ferguson's penalty. Did you see how much it rolled back? It's some technique to catch it like that. It's impressive. But right, let's get into the talking points of the game, Stevie. It's, as you know, this show we talk a lot about the referees, maybe not always in a positive light, but today I'm not going to do it. I thought the referee had a really bad game, and I don't like singling out referees. I don't like doing it. I know we do it on here, and it's sometimes, and I don't like it, but I just thought the referee had a bad game. Before we touch on the other decisions, was it a penalty? Did McGregor bring down Hedges? Would you have gave a penalty?
Honestly, I don't know, because I think McGregor's been fly about it, right? I think he's left his leg there, right? But he's not deliberately swung his leg at the boy Hedges. And I think because Hedges is off balance as he goes past McGregor, it's as if he's already gone down anyway. So whether he would have got it if McGregor touched him or not is, you never know. But I would side on the, I would go on the side of probably no. But I can see why people would be screaming for it. I mean, I was sitting with my Aberdeen top on Tuesday night screaming for it myself, but I can see why it wasn't given. I don't know what you think yourselves.
On you go, Ryan.
I do agree with what you're saying, but for me there's contact there, but I do agree with it. I think if the boy Hedges he's going down and he's kind of turning away from McGregor and he's clipped him. I think if he stays tall and big and McGregor comes out and clatters him, it's a clear penalty all day long. But I think I agree with what you're saying. He's kind of swinging out the way and McGregor slightly caught him. But if there's contact in the box, you're shouting for that all day. So it is a hard one. But I agree with what Scott says. Everybody's quick to jump on the referees all the time. I think it was a hard one, but I do agree with Scotty. A bit of a shock of the full game, and we'll touch on that later with another one.
I think with the thing, I think McGregor gets his timing wrong. He's way too late to come out, and I think he does catch him. I don't know if it's enough for a penalty because I think he's going down. I don't think he wins the ball. I don't think there's as big a deal made of this if Rangers don't go up the park and score.
No.
I think that's the thing. I think because Rangers got up the park and score, it's against the run of play. I thought Aberdeen were the far better team. I thought straight away when I saw it first, I was like, that's not a penalty. You can't give penalties for that. When I watched it back, I think my mind did change a little. I think I can see a case for a penalty. I just don't know if it's... I don't know if it's a clear-cut penalty. I wouldn't say it's a stone waller. I think it's one of those that I think you're going to get three different answers to. I think it's not the one you're not going to agree on fully. But if Kevin Clancy gave 9 yellow cards, Stevie, I can only see a case for maybe 3, 4 at a push. I think the Hadji one's a yellow card. I think he tells Hadji before he books him, stop doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
McCrory as well. McCrory's tackle was as late, it is bad. Scott Brown, I think we'll touch on Scott Brown. Obviously, I think that's quite funny. I think that's Scott Brown at his best. It's part and parcel of the game. I don't see anything wrong with what Scott Brown was doing, but I think he was booked. I think he should have been booked. I think he was a couple of wee tackles before that. He probably should have seen yellow for. But I just think that when you're card happy like that, it's really hard for the game to have any flow to it. I think both teams found it difficult. Rangers in particular, I thought were struggling to get anything going just for how stop-start the game was. The cards were kind of getting thrown out left, right and centre. For wee fouls, I don't think Morelos a yellow card because I don't think there's much he can do. It is a penalty, total penalty, I agree with that, but I don't think Morelos can do anything. It's not as if he can get his arm out the way, but it is a penalty, absolutely. What was your thoughts? And were the cards, was there any cards? Ryan Kent's in particular, what did you think? It should have been sent off?
Yeah, Kent's is a shocker. Wow. It's never a sending off ever. I mean, the history with that game, the Aberdeen Rangers games and the tackles and the things that have happened in the past, I think his sending off was the 15th sending off in the last 19 games between the two. I mean, it's incredible. Kent's is never a red card. Both his bookings are questionable, but I think the refs bought into the hype of the game, and it's under the floodlights. It's a grudge match, and then obviously you've got Scott Brown who loves just to play the pantomime villain, and it's as if he's got them on a string. Like I don't understand why they react to it. I really don't. And then you've got Tavernier over at him, and he's trying to have a laugh with him, and he's shrugging his shoulders, trying to get him away, and I'm like, I don't even speak to him because all you're doing is just. It's like the crowd sees that and they get a lift for it. Then the team get a lift for the crowd, and you're just playing into it. But you're right. Kevin Clancy had a bit of a shocker, but listen, players have shockers every week, don't they? And they don't get scrutinised as bad as the referees do. I'm hearing all sorts of garbage like, oh, he's a Celtic man and he's this and he's all that. It's a lot of rubbish.
Yeah.
But it's amazing what comes out when a ref has a terrible game against one of the old firm. Like, you get it all the time with John Beaton, don't you? When he referees Celtic games, it's always the ones when it's
just social media for you these days, isn't it?
It's just this mountains made out of molehills. But it didn't have a great game. But I agree with you, Scott. There's a lot of negativity and pressure put on the referees, especially in Scotland, because of the pressure that's on them with not having VAR and stuff like that they've got down south. But I think we're going to be moving towards something like that quite soon, probably the next 3 or 4 seasons.
Yeah, I think we'll get VAR. The chat is we'll get VAR before the end, after the World Cup. So as badly needed, Ryan, isn't it? It's one of those things that VAR would give us a clear-cut decision on the Hedges and McGregor thing. That's what it's there for. I think the referees should be helped, should be given proper help. I also think the referees would benefit from possibly going full time. I know that's a long debate for another day, but I just think there's too many games in Scotland where the referee is the talk of the town, and I think that it's a bad look for Scottish football, and I've said that for years.
It's been going about for years. as you say, they're getting bad mouthed nearly every game now. You know what I mean? I'm one that does it. I know. You know what I mean? You get caught in the emotion.
Yeah, and
it's easy to do, but at the end of the day, they're judging a decision in a split second. We've got replays in half time and full time to look over it. They've got to judge it in just that 1 second. So it's a hard job. Wouldn't be me doing it, but going back to the sending off all day, the first yellow card, Johnny Hayes had kind of got him into a wee bit and he's pushed him away, so I can see the yellow card for that, for lifting his hands. But the second one, Scott Brown's been cute. He's done it for years. He's basically played the ball up the line and hurt his leg against Kent, and he's went down, and it's not even a foul, in my opinion. He's given him a second yellow card, and kind of, I think that played into Rangers' hands because you just sat back and Aberdeen couldn't break them down. Whereas with 11 men, Rangers were trying to go for it a wee bit, and Aberdeen were pressing a wee bit more. But I think at that point, Rangers were sat and were going to accept the point. But regarding the referees, I definitely VAR would help them out a lot up here, because you know what our game's like. It's Hurrell and another, tackles flying in all over the place. So I think if you've got VAR and it's used right, I don't know, maybe use the ex-professionals to maybe sit in and do it, and it's not always the referee's decision. Maybe that's a route to go down. You've got maybe ex-professionals that are retired that maybe can sit in and they've got a player's perspective and also maybe that's a good way to go.
Ryan, how ironic is it, me and you sitting here defending refs after the garbage we give them on the basis there?
Aye, well, you're the angriest wee man in fucking Scotland.
You having a laugh? You hurt yourself.
Well, obviously it's the referees. You could talk about the referee situation all day, but I think Rangers will probably need a wee bit of a kind of quick game on Friday to get going again. I think a lot of players been missing. Morelos obviously going to miss Old Firm. I think Rangers will need a game like Friday against Stirling just to get the kind of cobwebs off and get back to a bit of normality when it comes to kind of performance and results. But we'll move on to Hearts 2, St Johnstone 0. Josh Ginnelly by double, 2 assists from Barry Mackay. Ryan, I'll start with you. Hearts very impressive, particularly Barry Mackay and Ginnelly combining for 2 goals and sitting third comfortably now.
They've been flying all season, haven't they? The wee boy Barry Mackay's come in and done really well. Every time he gets on the ball, he's a player that excites the fans, and his first pass, going back to St Johnstone, on a horrendous run. I think that was a rate of defeating the bounce. Go to Tynecastle, it's probably one of the best places I like to play. The atmosphere's all on top of you. So I think with the run St Johnstone were on, they had to go there and keep it compact, and they done that in the first half, and then straight for kick after the second half, they've given the ball away. Barry Mackay plays a lovely ball through to Ginnelly, and he finishes it off well. So, but I like that boy Ginnelly and all. I first seen him against Celtic in the League Cup final. Impressed me on all his direct, and he gets on the ball and obviously can finish. And then Barry Mackay for the second goal and all, he's beat his man and slipped it through, and it's a great finish again. But Hearts are flying. It's going to be a tough game for Celtic next Wednesday. That's why I thought it was majorly important to get the 3 points on Monday there and put a wee bit of pressure on Rangers. But I think obviously the cup games take care of itself. I think Rangers will win on Friday and Celtic will win on Saturday. So it's a massive game next week for Celtic, especially because it's always hard to go to Tynecastle. I think Hearts are one of the teams that Celtic always struggle against. I think against the likes of Aberdeen and Hibs, Celtic always do well away from home and at home. Hearts are one of the teams, especially at Tynecastle, that Celtic always slip up, which they've done the first game of the season. So I think it's important for Celtic to go there and if they're serious about mounting a challenge for this league, they've got to go there next week and win.
Aye, I mean, it's some result for Hearts as well. We'll flip over a wee bit to St Johnstone, Stevie. 8 games without a win. Callum Davidson obviously won 2 cups last year. There's no doubt that Callum Davidson done a terrific job with St Johnstone, but is it beginning to get to the stage now where St Johnstone are in serious trouble?
I think they're struggling, but I've seen quite a lot of the game. They're still making a few chances. I mean, Chiefty was through one-on-one with Gordon at 0-0, and Gordon makes a brilliant save, and he also makes a great save. I think it might have been Chiefty again. Long range effort. It's been deflected a wee bit, and Gordon's been wrong-footed, but he's still managed to get a hand to it. So I mean, we've all played in teams. We've all seen teams that are down the bottom and they're struggling and they're not creating any chances. But St Johnstone in specific games that I've seen them are still creating chances. So I think it might turn for them a wee bit, but they need one result. They need a wee bit of luck, just one result to go their way. But don't get me wrong, it's not looking good for them now. But they've still got a decent bit of quality there, especially bringing Chief G in as well.
Mm-hmm. I think he'll be a major signing for them. I think that's what they lack goals. I think the two up front, well, Harlan's not really a goal scorer. Kane is in and out of the team, and Stevie May's not really a prolific goal scorer the last couple of years. So I think, as you say, the highs and lows of football. He wins a double last year, he's a legend, and then just flips, he's sitting bottom of the league, and you're on an 8-game losing streak. So, but as you say, I've just noticed they're playing Celtic Hearts in the Scottish Cup.
Yeah.
Saturday, I think. If that's a cup upset, then I think he'll be out the door. And then obviously next week they play Dundee. That's 11 against 12. So again, it's two massive games coming up from. I think if he doesn't win they two, then I think he'll be out of a job. But hopefully he can just maybe get that one victory and get them a wee run of games and see where it takes them.
Yeah, I think as well, like when you touch on St Johnstone, I think even if like they lose to Celtic, I could see, we'll touch on maybe where we could most likely see an upset later on, but I think Celtic versus St Johnstone, that could be one of them. I think you've got a team that's flying against a team that's really not. I know it's 3 leagues between them, but that's a massive game for Celtic, obviously, to maybe get a wee upset against a team low in confidence. That game next Wednesday against Dundee could be a 6-pointer. Like, it's a massive game for both teams. I'll touch on, obviously, something I wanted to get both your thoughts on, obviously, being legends of the game in Scotland. John Souttar, obviously signed for Rangers in a pre-contract. Have you ever been involved with a player that's left in a pre-contract but maybe stayed on to the end of the season? What do you think of the boos and the kind of reaction for Hearts fans? Do you agree with it? Do you think there is a case that he's not going to be focused in Hearts? Because the way I look at it, you're a player, you're focused in your team until you're not there. I know he's a Rangers player in the summer, but he's still a Hearts player. That's my thoughts. What would your thoughts be on that, Ryan?
I think, I don't know the boy personally, but I think watching him play, I think he's a professional lad. He'll give it his all for Hearts. I think they've stood by him through 3 major operations. I think that's maybe where the frustrations came for the fans. Maybe they wanted to see him sign a new contract, pay a wee bit back. But as you say, it's a short career. The boys had 3 major operations, missed a few seasons of his career. Maybe he says, go to Rangers, playing in Europe, so the next stage of his career, maybe cement a place in the Scotland squad. So I can fully understand why he's made the move. Maybe touted it for Celtic as well. I think he's a top player, especially for the game in Scotland. But it's just, fans these days, I'm on him as well. You're fickle, you know what I mean? You're always on top of him. It's a lot of negativity around Scottish football. But I do agree, I do kind of come and go where the fans are booing, because obviously they're wanting to stay and maybe kick on and pay a wee bit back. But I understand why John Souttar's went to Rangers, because obviously they're one of the biggest clubs in Britain, and it may be going to kick his game on. But hopefully, but again, the flip side again, if he stays at Hearts to the end of the season and maybe Rangers go for a league, he's playing them. I don't know. It's a strange one when you're running to play for your employers next season, and maybe you could shut them out and for Celtic to win the league. It's a strange one. I think a deal will probably happen this month, and he'll go over to Ibrox.
Yeah, I think that will happen. Stevie, what would your thoughts be on it? Have you ever been around a player that's maybe signed in a pre-contract and stayed on, and does it have a negative impact on the player and the dressing room as a whole? What's your thoughts on
it? The first couple that spring to mind are probably Big Boyd and Stevie Naismith as well, right. Both Rangers. But it's never been negative. Like, for me, I've got a thing with Hearts supporters. I think they're useless, man. They're garbage. Honestly, they're brutal. See, times I've played there, the abuse I've got, I'm going to take a shy, getting slapped. I've never been abused. I go to Celtic Park, I'm such and such. I go to Rangers, I'm such and... I've got mates in the Rangers end, I've got mates in the Celtic end, and they're dogs abuse, right? But you go to Tynecastle, and they're a different breed up there, honestly. But I've been spat on, I've had my head slapped at the back of myself, tried to take a shy. I've been called all sorts of stuff, and every time I've ever went there, they're just... I don't know whether they're living in past glories or they think they've got a divine right to be up there with Rangers and Celtic, but I think booing the player's shocking. I honestly do. I think the guy's trying to better himself, better his career. Like, just accept it. No matter what Hearts would offer that guy, he's always going to go to either Celtic or Rangers if he stays in Scotland. Do you know what I mean? Because there's going to be a cap on what Hearts can offer him. And if he goes to a bigger club like Rangers, he's got more opportunity to win bigger trophies, become a regular with Scotland, everything else that goes along with that. So I just think it's shocking booing him, I really do. But honestly, the experiences I've had, especially at Tynecastle, it really doesn't surprise me with him. They bring out the big boo machine after 5 minutes if they've not had a shot on goal. They would just wind that big boo machine up. It's you asked the wrong person. They're brutal.
I think the thing that gets me is, and this isn't just with Hearts fans, but with a lot of fans, particularly in Scotland, John Souttar signed for Hearts on a pre-contract from Dundee United. Like it's as Ryan says, it can be fickle. It can't you do forget sometimes what brought them there and things like that. And I think if John Souttar had left to go to, let's say, like Blackburn or Middlesbrough, I don't think he gets booed the weekend, the game after he signs. I think it's obviously signing for a rival, signing for another club in Scotland. It's one of those things, isn't it, where you're never going to get rid of it. I just don't agree with players getting booed for making the best choice for themselves. But we'll move into the next game. Ross County, a massive win, a 3-1 win over Motherwell. That moves them 5 points clear of 11th. Stevie, I'll start with you. The red card for Ross County certainly galvanised Ross County to get a win. Charles Cook scoring a double after a sending off when it was one each.
I seen it. The tackle's a bit.
Tackle's terrible, isn't it?
I mean, he's 2 feet off the ground and he's nearly just under a knee high, isn't he?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, he takes the ball, but he also takes half the guy's knee away him as well. The boy he's a good player, by the way. He's very sharp, isn't he? And he was involved in the first goal. I know it was an OG, but it was something to put the cross in for the goal as well. So I remember watching him against Celtic up there as well, and he was very, very sharp. He's a really good player there. They're looking as if they're going to stay up, and they would have been everybody's pick to go straight back down, especially the way they played at the start of the season. So no, they're flying. Motherwell might struggle, by the way. I think Motherwell might just fall off a cliff because you take Tony Watt out of the team. The boy Van Veen's a good player. I like him.
Yeah, I've been impressed, man.
And they've stuck him out wide a few times, but I like him through the middle. Mm-hmm. It's a lot more dangerous through there. But you take Tony Watt out of that team, and they're struggling for a wee bit for goals and stuff. And they were a wee bit all over the place against County, especially 10 men. You're expecting to go on and then push on and maybe get the 3 points, and before you know it, you're getting beat 3-1 up there, and that's a horrible that journey. It's just horrendous. I think they're just in 5 minutes ago, by the way.
Ryan, I'll come to you as well. Stevie touched on it there. When any team loses their top goal scorer, it's a massive blow. But Motherwell, it could be big for them if they get top 6 hopes, and they will want to replace Tony Watt as soon as possible.
Has Graham Alexander not come out and said he's not looking for a replacement?
Nah, I think
that's somewhere else.
I think that's a big error.
Aye. I think definitely losing the league's top goal scorer, even though he's only scored 9 goals, it's massive for a club like Motherwell. I'm surprised that Tony went, because he was only saying a few months ago that he's found his home after moving about all over the years. But as you say, it's a short career. So he's went up to maybe Dundee United and I don't know, maybe doubled his money or something. I don't know what he's on, but it's going to be a massive loss for Motherwell. I think they kind of controlled the game in the first half, and then, as you say, the centre half kind of galvanised Ross County. And the boy Charles Cook kind of had a slow start to his county career after he came for Gillingham, but he's kicked on this season. I think he will win. I think he's still mid-20s. It's maybe got another move in him again. If he's going to Scotland, maybe a move up to a Dundee United or something like that, an Aberdeen, maybe galvanise him. But I think Malcolm Mackay's done a tremendous job. I think after Yogi left there, he came in under a cloud as well. People were not happy he got the job, but as Ruby says, I think they were everybody's picks to go down, and obviously I think St Johnstone's on a bad run at the wrong time, and Ross County starting to pick up. I seen a stat the other day that out with Rangers, Celtic and Hearts are the league's top goal scorers. For a team that should be down at the bottom, maybe fighting relegation, that's a a tremendous achievement. So I think Malcolm Mackay's done a good job up there.
Yeah, I think they've been really unlucky. I think they've been really unlucky with some of the results as well. Like they lost. I think they lost with Celtic with an odd goal. And
that was Tony Ralston last second.
That's right. Like Dundee, they took 5 off Dundee and things like that. They have scored goals. It's keeping them out. But again, if you've got a player like Charles Cook, who seems to be in good form and seems to be a really impressive player, you've got a chance in that. That could be one of the big wins you could look back on if they stay up and go. That's like beating Motherwell at home's a massive result, particularly with 10 men, which is impressive. We'll move into Dundee United 1, St Mirren 2. St Mirren get their first win in 11 games with goals from Henderson and Brophy. Ryan, St Mirren, that's a massive result for St Mirren to go to Tannadice and pick up a big one.
Definitely, that was their first win in 12 games for October.
Yeah.
So that'll be a big relief off Jim Goodwin's shoulders, obviously. I watched the highlights all day and I watched him today again, and the wee boy Henderson impressed me again. I think he came out of Siberia against Celtic with all the COVID, and he impressed me that night as well, full enthusiasm. The goal, probably the goal of the week for me, just the ball came, it was first touch 1-2 and then he smashed it into the top corner. But his all-round play was top notch. I think he'll be a big player for St Mirren. But as you say, again, going back to the referee, I think Alan Muir made a few kind of howlers. There was a penalty maybe there with the Boyd Power. He went handball, but again, it's just a split decision. He's had to make that, so you can't really blame him. But if you're Dundee United, it's getting you back in the game. I think Tony Watt coming on, he played a part in the setting up the goal again, so he'll be a big player for them once he gets his feet in the door. So again, I think that's no wins in 6 for them. So Tam Courts will be, again, he was a appointment at the start of the season where everybody was slating and he had a good start and he was kind of having people eating their words. But again, you're only judged in your last couple of performances. Going back to Jack Ross, he gets sacked after going on 6 or 7 losing game runs and he had a cup final coming up. So you know what chairmans are like these days. You're maybe 4 games away from the sack. So I think Tam Courts will be wanting a victory sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm. Stevie, like Dundee United at the start of the season obviously beat Rangers. They went on a massively impressive run. It has went down a cliff a wee bit. I think we can all agree on that. What was your overall thoughts in the game, and what will Dundee United be looking for? They'll be looking for Tony Watt to hit the ground running straight away, I'd imagine.
They will need Tony to be scoring goals straight away. I've actually worked beside a couple of Dundee United supporters, season ticket holders, and they've been saying the same thing. Like, they're doing well in games, but they just don't seem to have a cutting edge. Don't score enough goals. So I'd like to think bringing Tony in, that'll maybe solve that a wee bit. But I agree with Ryan. The first goal was sensational. The way the boys they went for the 1-2, and then that strike round to the top corner was a cracker. But I think Dundee United will be okay. I think they've got enough. I've seen enough for them to try and make a kind of judgment call on them, and I think as long as Tony scores goals, I think they'll be okay because they, as I say, they do more than okay in a lot of other areas. Saying that though, they do give away a fair amount, don't they? They do, but some of the goals they give away are quite scrappy, quite preventable. So they'll need to kick that habit, because if you're chasing games, you can leave yourself open all the time. But it'll be interesting to see after the split further down the line. That bottom half of the table will probably be more interesting than the top half, to be honest with you, because there'll be a right few teams that can still get affected and get pulled into that. I'm looking forward to that split, actually.
Ryan, do you kind of worry for Dundee United? They're in this loss of form, and the likes of obviously Tony Watt. It's not very often like a team in 10 sign the league's top goal scorer. He is going to be a massive player in the next couple of months. Aye,
definitely. I've played in teams where you're struggling for a win, and whatever you maybe change your training, you maybe change your formation, just nothing happens. You can't get the rub of the green. So I think that's what Dundee United are in, same as Dundee. Two of them are struggling to try and get a draw and never mind a win. So I think the boy McNulty, he wasn't firing. Nicky Clark's not really a goal scorer, so I think that's why they went and got Tony on a pre-contract and sorted a deal this month, which is good for all parties. But Tony's a top player. He's not really a club that he's maybe stayed around for a wee while to settle, but I think Motherwell was looking at that option. But Dundee United's come in, offered them obviously more money. Dundee is a big club. They've always paid well over the years, so I think him going up there, if he settles down, with Motherwell's kind of playing out in the left, I think Dundee is going to maybe play him through in the middle. I don't know if that'll suit him more. Every time I've seen him out in the left, he impressed me. Coming in off the left and linking the play. And obviously, the goal he scored against Dundee the last time, he scored into the tap in, come off the left-hand side. But he'll be a massive part for Dundee to get back on track. Hopefully, obviously, Coke Bridge, the same as me and Ruby, so hopefully I like to see boys doing well that stay around this area, so hopefully kicks on as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll move into the final game in the Premiership. Livingston 2, Dundee United 0. A double for Bruce Anderson. Stevie, it's a big win for Livingston, obviously beating Dundee, a team who's kind of in a similar area, but in particular when you've got your number 9 scoring 2 goals, it's massive boost of confidence for him and for the club as a whole.
Aye, definitely. Dundee are struggling a wee bit. Can't seem to buy a win now, when obviously you've got the stuff ongoing with Griffiths, and they just seem to be. There's a few teams struggling. Like obviously you get St Johnstone, you've got Dundee United, Dundee just now, but love it, that pitch. I think they play anybody on that pitch, and they train on it every day, and it's a kind of slick night. It's under the floodlights and stuff. You're at home. You're against a team that you're expected to beat. I think that it was probably the right result, and the boy Anderson took his goals very well. The second goal was a cracker, actually. Quick feet, staying on his feet in the box and finishing at the bottom corner. But it's a massive result for Livingston. But Dundee are they're really, really struggling now. I don't see where they're going to get. They really needed Griffiths to come up there and start banging goals in, but it's just, for whatever reason, whether it's on the pitch, off the pitch, anything, it's just not worked out. And unless they can maybe bring somebody in January that's going to do a similar job, then I don't know. I think they might struggle, to be fair.
Ryan, well, I was going to get your thoughts on Lee Griffiths. Obviously, he's been released from Celtic and he's still at Dundee for the time being. The talk has been that Dundee want to cut that loan short. How does Griffiths kind of recover for that? Obviously, the leaving Celtic, obviously the way he has, it won't be good for his confidence, but he is off form. He isn't the same player he was 2 years ago. Like, what can he do? What can he do to kind of improve and get back to where he was? Because we know there is a player in there, and it could be the difference between Dundee staying up and if you get him fit and healthy. Like, is it that simple? Just try and get him sorted as quickly as possible.
I think with James McPake, I don't think he's got that type of.
No.
Lee Griffiths' head sorted, because if he signs there perm, he's going to want a good wage, and I don't think Dundee are in a position to do that now. If he's coming off the bench and no starting, I think they need a player in the round that's going to hit the ground running, score goals to try and keep them up. Going back to Griffiths, for me, I think he just needs to go out of Scotland. He just needs to get away for a couple of years abroad, just to get his head clear and get away from Scottish football. Going back to that, fans just slot him everywhere he goes for his off-field antics. So I think for him to get his career back on track, he needs to go abroad, I think, just to stay out in the limelight and try and get his career back on track by scoring goals. Because I was one of the ones shouting for him to play 2 years ago for Celtic, getting back in the team. He's a match winner on his day. He's left pegs to die for. But I think his head's full of broken bottles now. So for me, if I was him, if I was his agent, I'd be trying to get him a move abroad, maybe Australia or somewhere, just to try and get the head down and get back scoring and then see where it can take him. But I don't think James McPake's not well now, because he's not played. He's took him on loan, he's been out of the team. Same with the boy Cummins as well. I think Cummins and Griffiths are kind of similar. Two good players on their day, but they're away with it now. So I think Cummins is maybe touting to go to Australia, so maybe Griffiths can maybe make the same move abroad as well.
Stevie, would you agree with that? Maybe a change of scenery for Lee Griffiths, get his head back together and maybe come back a couple of years when he's in a better place?
Aye, probably, to be fair, because he's had, that's a good 18 months, 2 years he's had of struggling a wee bit, and as Ryan said, like he needs to get out of the bubble of Scottish football, because wherever he goes, he's going to get slaughtered all the time. And it's when you're in that position, you're out of form, and even your own fans. I remember Celtic fans half the support booing him when he played the game at the start of the season for Celtic and that. And it's don't get me wrong, he's brought it on himself with all his antics and stuff. But at the same time, if you're trying to do a job for somebody, then and that's playing at the back of your mind, and you can't go and take a corner for getting pelted with stuff, and that is, maybe it's time to go and make that move. But saying that, I don't know if Ryan says go abroad. He's got him away. He's got him in Australia. He's got the furthest away possible place.
I don't love a dream in Australia.
I was thinking about
but a son that has that balding apple.
Imagine it, he come back with a surfboard and a full head of blonde hair.
I think that's what he needs, but I think he just needs to get away and be forgot about for a couple of seasons, start scoring goals, and then maybe come back over here at 33, 34 and settle down. But now he's not going to do that over here with the media and the social media, I think, aspects over here. He's never, I'd imagine him going about the street, he just gets pelters daily. So it can be good for his mental health as well, constantly getting slaughtered. So just take him out the fire line, and just maybe if he's agent, just try and get him abroad somewhere, at least for a season, maybe, because I take it he's been paid up with Celtic, so, and he's no short of money, so I'd imagine he can go over there for maybe 6 months and then see how it is and then take it from there. But I can't see Dundee signing him. I'd be surprised if Jama signs him up well.
Yeah, I think it could be exactly what he's needing. I think that probably could be the best solution. We'll move into what's coming up this weekend, and obviously it's Scottish Cup 4th round weekend, one of the best weekends of the year. Before we get into the games this week, I'm going to put you both in the spot. What was your favourite Scottish Cup memory as a player? We'll start with you, Ryan. Give Stevie time to think.
Probably my last time at Annan, we beat Hamilton 4-1 down there. It was a battle. It could be more, it could be double that. Cannon was under a wee bit of pressure at the time, and just having clicked for us in the day. I think we scored an early goal, and we controlled the game from then on in. Matty Flynn that scored, and obviously we're 3rd division, they were Premiership at the time, so it was a big result for us. And I can just remember the night out after it was tremendous. And obviously going back to the game, it's boys, we're part-time, you know what I mean? I'm coming to the end of my career. A few other boys the same as me, a few young boys starting out, so to play a Premier League team and beat them convincingly, it was good at that stage of my career to experience that again. So I would say that's where you're up there.
Brilliant. Stevie, what would yours be? You got a particular Scottish Cup memory that sticks out to you?
Probably just my very first game. It was Kelly against Airdrie. We were home to Airdrie. I maybe made my debut in like December 2001, and I think the game against Airdrie was maybe say January 2002. So I'd been in the team maybe 6 weeks. I was absolutely flying, and then played Airdrie, and obviously I'm a Coatbridge boy, so I went a few. A lot of the Airdrie supporters knew me, knew me personally, and I went to take a corner in front of the Airdrie supporters, and I just remember it being quiet, and when I went to run up, I heard somebody shouting, "Oh, Murray! 18 months ago you stole the wheel trims off my Cavalier." By the way, I did steal the wheel trims off his Cavalier. And but it's things like that. See when you played against. So I started same as Ryan. We both started at clubs that were up the top end, like the leagues in Scotland. But when you play against the teams that are lower down, and you see the supporters and you see the places and things like that, and I think it's brilliant. Like, because you don't get the same kind of pattern, you don't get the same kind of give and go you get with supporters in the Premier League. And me and Ryan have probably played at every single professional ground there is in Scotland, Ryan? We must have.
That's like for you, aye. All league and probably up Highlands and all, aye.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's probably the funniest thing I've got. And I remember the game as well because it was my first time playing in the Scottish Cup, obviously. But I never been, when I was at Kelly or Steny or Dumbarton, we never really had like a long run in the Scottish Cup at any of the clubs I was ever at. It's kind of a wee regret, but I was never part of like a giant killing or never like a featured game or anything like that in the Scottish Cup, because it's a major trophy and it's got a lot of history and you want to be part of things like that. But no, that's short. My lasting memory is of going to play in places that you would never normally even think about, especially at that time in your career. I enjoy going to the smaller clubs and stuff like that.
Yeah, obviously. We'll move into this upcoming weekend, Ryan. Is there any particular fixtures that catch your eye? Rangers obviously host Stirling Albion tomorrow night. Celtic go to Alloa on Saturday. Hibs are playing Cove just now. Any games that catch your eyes, potential ones to keep an eye on?
I've wrote a few down. I think Auchinleck at home to Hearts. You wouldn't put it past him going to even get a draw, you know what I mean, and taking it for there. But there's a few. Darvel away to High Flying Arbroath. Clydebank, could they do it against Multeam Annan? Multeam Dumbarton. I can be here all day saying Multeam. I've played the fucking Hunnels here.
Better clubs in Tiger Woods.
Dumbarton at home to Dundee, with Dundee under a wee bit of pressure. And I think this could be the one that's the giant killing. Celtic Hearts at home to St Johnstone, because you can get through their squad. The boy Foster at the back, Austin, Higginbottom, Cardile, they're flying in League Two. And obviously St Johnstone are Premier League. But I just think with the run St Johnstone are on, if Celtic start the same as maybe what we done with Hamilton back in the day with Annan, just start high tempo, get an early goal, St Johnston's heads will go down. And for me, I think that could be the big upset today. But there's a few there that could stick out.
Stevie, what about you? Any games catch your eye this weekend in the Scottish Cup?
Aye, my two will be Celtic Hearts. We spoke about it earlier. I think they're in such a rich vein of form now, and St Johnstone are really struggling. And it's at Celtic the game as well, and it's a plastic pitch, so there's a lot of things that could go in their favour. But I can't not speak about my Ayrshire team, the old Talbot. I reckon they'll. I think they might beat Hearts. Do you know that? I think
story, wouldn't it? It'd be some story.
I think Hearts will put out some of the scud books, like some of the guys that have never been playing. And when you throw them into an environment like that, and Ryan, have you played down at Auchinleck Talbot?
Aye.
It's a bit wild, isn't it?
As you say, they're a different breed down there, but in a good way. They support their team, you know what I mean? They support the local team. And the job he's done down there it doesn't get talked about enough for me. The job he's done down there is phenomenal. Again, I think they're probably going to win that league, and then they maybe make the step up again. And I can maybe see Auchinleck and maybe next, if they keep progressing the way they are. Because see me look at their team with Shankers, right? Shankers, top player, but see me look at their team throughout the years. There's not really any standouts or any big money signings. They're all just a right, well-knitted squad that know how to play for each other, know how to win. Because I think playing against them over the years, when I was at Pollock and teams like that, sometimes they're not playing well, but they always seem to win. But it's because they've got players that know how to do it at that level. So I think the job the manager's done for the last, I don't know why he's no moved to step up. He's probably comfortable down there. But I think that could be an upset. Hearts are flying now, so for me, I would love to see an upset, but I think Hearts will beat the aim. I think my big one is Celtic Hearts.
I think you're saying, Stevie, I think Hearts are going to throw out maybe a reserve team. I just think Hearts went out last year to Brora. I think Hearts will be determined to make sure that doesn't happen again. I would love to. I mean, obviously we cover the West in this channel. I'd love to see Talbot, Darvel, and Clydebank get through. I think Clydebank have got the best chance. Obviously they play Annan. Darvel are playing Arbroath. Arbroath are absolutely flying right now. Auchinleck against Hearts.
Annan are absolutely flying now.
I know. It's going to be interesting
as well. So
absolutely,
with a sticky couple of results, so they'll want to bounce back. But as you say, it's the Scottish Cup. Anything can happen. You've seen over the years the big upsets. So hopefully there's a few upsets. Well, no called them all teams anyway. Hopefully they go through.
You look at like Banks of D as well. I mean, they're getting Raith Rovers. That's some achievement for Banks of D as well. Another team that's kind of at the level of the kind of West and the East, obviously. Two giant killings I think could happen. I think Celtic could beat St Johnstone. I think Celtic could beat the Holders. I think Celtic have probably got a team good enough to play in the Championship, but they're so impressive, some of the players they brought in. Some job as well. Like you look at like Joe Cardle, Nathan Austin, Callum Higginbottom, they probably could play like Championship easily. Like it's going to be, I think they could be a team to watch in the next couple of years. Ayr against St Mirren, I think Ayr, with the new manager Lee Bullen, I know St Mirren got a good result on Tuesday night. I wouldn't put it past Ayr to get a wee result. I hope it's St Mirren.
I had a bad result the weekend there, but hopefully they'll bounce back, maybe get a good performance. I know one of my old teams, but I wasn't like down there, so
Ryan, many clubs you played for, by the way.
Yeah, we need another special to go through my clubs, mate. No, but I do agree with you. I think United are going down a different route with the director of football and things like that. So things are looking up for the club. But St Mirren, that was a big result for Jim Goodwin. So he'll be hoping to follow up with a win in the Scottish Cup. So, but I'm looking forward to all the games. A couple are on the telly. So
Dumbarton against Dundee as well. That could be Stevie Farrell's got them going a wee bit the past couple of weeks. Dundee are at their best right now. Dumbarton against Dundee, that could be one.
I might take the Dumbarton game in. So
they had a great result against East Fife at the weekend there, I know.
Yeah, definitely.
They're in a bit of a dogfight down there in League One. So
we'll be down there at this time of the year. It's windy, so it won't be ideal playing conditions for Dundee, so that might play into Dumbarton's hands.
That's what I'm thinking about. Auchinleck Talbot and all. How many of the Hearts players do you think are going to run out there and go, I'm going to turn it on today? Honestly, it's mad. You can try and convince yourself in your head you're going to, but I've been in the position before where you've run out. You'll be the same, Ryan, and you look at a pitch and you're like, Jesus Christ, man. Your neck's sore because you're just watching a body rat all day, and it's horrendous. So I'm hoping the Talbot. In fact, I'm going to have a wee bet in the Talbot. I'm going to stick 20 quid on them. Well, 51, 61, something like that.
I know higher than that. I think I saw 91 there, but
did you?
I think I did. It's going to be an interesting weekend, though. It's going to be. We'll be back with a review show on Monday where we'll look at all the games that take place. Obviously, all the giant killings that will happen. There'll be one anyway. There'll be a giant killing that will happen some way. We are going to wrap up the show there. It's been an absolute pleasure to have both Ryan and Stevie on. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks very much to everyone that's tuned in. Please subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channels and follow us on social media. Thanks very much, everyone. Catch you soon. Cheers.